Okay.
Yep.
I'm now recording.
Cool.
So now we can talk shit about Raj.
Yeah. So I've also got them
Wow.
made.
Very cool.
My wife's brother 3D printed these for me. So
Wow.
you're the first person to actually see those.
Wow.
Um,
Very cool.
the one thing that I feel I've kind of slipped up on so far is actually these items. Like
Okay.
I haven't told, I've given them the readings,
Right.
but I haven't actually told them that much what they relate to.
Right.
And they also have their own personal readings as well, which
Right.
are kind of cryptic. A couple of them have started finding out various things.
Right.
Um,
Well, maybe you can give me some of the readings and so I can study them and their characters, and maybe I
yep.
could turn up and shed some light on those readings. Just like I'm just not just that I'm fucking with you, but I'm actually challenging you to do better.
Yeah. Yeah. That could be a good way in because they're kind of a little lost as to what those things are meaning. I mean, we've got Esmeralda in there as well, she's Rick, Van Richten's assistant,
Right.
and she's a Vistani,
Right.
and she's quite capable of reading the
The Taroka.
reading the readings, or the
Right.
Taroka herself.
Right.
Um, so I'm like, that could be what that was my way that I had sort of decided I was going to lead them
Right.
into it. But
Okay.
if
Yeah.
we
Fair enough.
have, because
Well,
it kind of doesn't feel right for Strahd to go, these things are scattered to the winds, you must find them to defeat me.
oh no,
Um,
I wouldn't go that far for sure. But you could hint at it, or
yeah,
you could, I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. What I guess one of the things that I'm thinking about, like, okay, so if I'm going to turn up to these games, which I'm all for, and I don't care how much or how little sort of a role I basically end up with. Okay, don't get me conflated, but I obviously
sure. Yep,
I want to get
yep.
my money's worth, right? So if I'm going to turn up and play Strahd, I want to have a
Yeah, yeah,
chance to spend some time in the game, and rather than just being a participant, like an observer the whole time. So as many
it,
opportunities as I can engineer to
absolutely.
actually interact with the players would be awesome. Um,
Yep, yep.
so I guess that's what I'm looking at. But that being said, this is not my game, and you've asked me very kindly to come into it. So if you want to have me come in and do 3 lines of dialogue and then walk away for 2 sessions and come back, yeah.
I kind of want to see where it goes. Like,
Okay, yeah,
um,
just as experimental
I'm
kind
a bit
of,
of a yeah, I'm a bit of a fast and loose kind of DM,
yeah,
in that, I'll have it all read and everything, but
play it as it
very,
goes.
play it really as it goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sometimes to the detriment of a session, but
Well, you
that
found out, didn't
happens.
you? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Um, hmm. Uh, this is good. This is really good, though. Um, have you read Strahd?
I have not. What is that?
Strahd is the first of the Ravenloft books.
Oh, okay. Is it available online?
Not readily,
No.
unfortunately. It's
Do you have a copy of it?
I picked a copy of it. Oh, actually, I think a lot of e-reader places have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got an e-reader, but
Right.
that's all right. I'm sure we can figure a way around it. There's probably a PDF
Yeah.
online that I can just look around for, and it might shake out of the internet.
Yep. Yep. I would say possibly so. Yeah.
All right. Strahd, I need to start up a thingy. Hang on a second.
A lot of the stuff that's in the top there to be interpreted, is direct pulls from the story of Strahd. So
Okay.
I'll because it's Strahd's diary come spell book.
Ah, okay. That makes
Um,
sense.
And as far as the Taroka reading goes, they're quite close to picking up the tome at this point.
Okay.
It's in the Burgomaster's house,
Right.
which I've been having some trouble getting to. But now that the feast is happening early, um, I've actually redesigned it and placed it with Victor, who's the son of the Burgomaster, is um, a burgeoning spellcaster, and he's a bit of a goth boy,
Okay.
like kind of
The character.
unhappy, closes himself off from the rest of the family, doesn't like what his father's doing with the town,
Right.
and in like just out of what I've background designed here, the Burgomaster and his wife have actually died at the hands of one of the vampire spawn. So Victor's going to leave town, um, and hole up in the forest,
Okay.
for the I think just off the road for the PCs to find next time they leave Vallaki,
Okay.
heading out west.
So what do you think, like from Strahd's point of view, like and from a really on broad strokes level, because that's all I
Mm.
really understand at this point,
Oh,
because I don't
yep.
know all the NPCs
Yeah,
names and all that
I'm
sort of stuff.
I'm
What do you
probably over explaining some things. So
That's
yeah,
okay, because
yeah,
you don't know what I know and what I don't know
yep,
really, so it's hard for you, and I totally get that. So
mm,
I'll try and give you a little bit of guidance in that respect, so that you are giving me
yeah,
useful stuff that's going to be clear to me,
absolutely,
and I understand why you're getting into detail in certain places because it's
yeah,
natural. So
yeah.
from my point of view, what I need you to do to start with is to tell me, like, what is if you had to sum up what the players have done so far in like 5 sentences, and then maybe we can add some more detail from there.
One,
Let's start off on and just sort of build a pyramid, if you
yeah,
like.
yeah. One of the big things is, very early on they burnt the land,
Oh shit!
and
Like,
Strahd's.
what do you mean by they burnt the land?
Well, they a lot of the traveling from Barovia village to Vallaki,
Hmm.
was done overland through forest. They didn't stick to the roads,
Okay,
and a lot of the random encounters that they
through it
came
then.
across through that were
Yeah.
things like twig blights.
Hmm.
Um, uh, there were
Any spiders,
lots of
wolves?
wolves. There were heaps of wolves. There was a will-o'-wisp which they avoided. They didn't end up following, but
Hmm.
and they ended up like the druid and the sorcerer.
Hmm.
So
Did you run the
um,
death house, by the way?
no, I didn't run Death House.
What level? What level are they?
They're level 5 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so the druid and the sorcerer both have a little bit of a thing going in combat. The druid will cast, what's that thorn thing that creates a
Thorn
circle of thorns?
Thorn ward or something like that.
It's like creates a like just all these plant dry plant thorn kind of things on the ground,
Let
and
me
then
open
the
D&D Beyond.
sorcerer will, yeah,
Oh, give it a
the
quick look.
sorcerer will throw some fire on it, and that will dispense with little difficult, little tricky
Is it
creatures
is it
pretty
Thorn Whip?
easily.
Thorn
No,
Whip?
not thorn whip. She's been using thorn whip quite a bit though, to good effect. Let me just find
Hmm.
her character sheet. Like that's probably one of the things that Strahd has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, because there's
Right.
the whole mantra that runs through Strahd is I am the
The,
ancient, I am the
and the
land.
land. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that can be taken quite literally with that, in
Right.
that he's going, who's burning up
Right.
um, these bits of forest,
They will
because there were
pay for
two,
this.
yeah, there were two encounters quite close together, and then the following, launched a couple of rather mad, rather North England accented like druids
Right.
at them with a whole surrounded by a whole lot of wolves
Right.
to try and get revenge for the forests that they've been hitting.
Here's an idea if you're interested. What if we were to do like a prequel where you DM me and I play Strahd and you we just play Strahd in Barovia for like a one-on-one session.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly how that would work, but
I don't know.
you know,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'd put that.
it could be previous to the game. Like it would give us a chance
Yeah.
for me to get a grip on what my resources are, what I can do, what I can't do, what are the limits of my power,
Yep.
who are my resources, who are the NPCs. I could go and visit each of the NPCs in the story that way, and you could play opposite me with each of the NPCs one-on-one. So I could talk to them, get to know them, give them the fear of God from me, you know. And then
Yeah.
this will also give you memories of having had encounters with Strahd for each of those NPCs. So they know exactly what happened when they last saw Strahd. It'll make,
Yeah, that could work.
I don't know if you've got time for this shit though. That's the other thing. That's a whole other
Yeah,
kettle of
I've
fish.
got heaps of time at the moment. I am
Okay.
well and truly unemployed, so
Right.
not not busy with a hell of a lot. I'll have a think about that. I just being so embedded um, so much in the campaign already at the moment. I'm kind of I'm not very good at. I don't like to run a non-consecutive campaign. Like I
Right.
like to play linear.
Right.
There are a lot of versions of Curse of Strahd where you can go into like dreams of Strahd's past. You know, the characters
Mm.
can go into dreams of Strahd's past, and I'm not really into that because I'd rather that this campaign be
Linear and chronological.
linear and claustrophobic, and that makes it claustrophobic for a lot of players, and that they're
Right.
restricted to just going exploring the
Forward.
world in a forward direction,
Right.
not railroading or anything, but
No,
just
no,
there's nothing else.
that's true. But
Um,
then I'm not
yeah,
a player character.
that's true. Yeah, so maybe you DM me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that could work too. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I don't know how that could work either. I guess we could figure out a way. Um, yeah, I mean, how would we do that? I would be playing Stride, I'm assuming, because that's what the
yeah,
objective is. And you could, well, why don't you choose 5 NPCs from the book that have a lot of interaction with Stride?
hmm
Um, and then we do a scene. We just play a scene with each of those characters one at a time where he invites them to the castle or something along those lines. And we come up with ideas about why he's inviting them, what is going to what the overall story, what is this, what's going to happen in this scene. So I mean,
mm,
it won't be entirely improvised with zero kind of direction. You go into it, it's what I guess you'd call it as a kind of directed improvisation, where there's
yeah,
a certain amount of foreknowledge as to what the results are supposed to be. What are we working towards? And
yeah,
with those goals in mind, we can play towards those goals together and collaborate on those scenes. Does that make sense?
yeah. It does. Yep. Um,
I don't know if this is too much, but it's just an idea.
I just need to have a think about which characters I'd want to throw at you
Of course.
first, and how to make them sing, and
Yeah,
um,
right.
there are a couple straight off the bat that would I'd want to get good foundations on, like
Right.
Irina
Right.
and um, probably Ismark as well. Um,
And
oh,
this will
do you
give
know about
me,
Strahd's?
yeah.
Do you know about Strahd's secret identity as well?
Ooh, I'm not sure I do.
Okay,
That could
it's
be important.
not mentioned. it's not mentioned very much in the module.
Oh,
But
really?
there's a character in that's based in Vallaki called Vasily von Holtz,
Okay.
and he is Strahd in disguise.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So he's basically, and the party have already met Vasily. He's essentially just a bookish. I'm playing him as like an accountant,
Right.
um, and I'm putting a bit of a twist on it as well. When he's just been. I'm getting really off track here. Um,
That's all right. It's all
he's
good.
just he's been helping Ismark to deal with the affairs of the family in Barovia village since the burgomaster died,
Okay.
and Ismark's got a bit of a crush on him.
Okay. So I don't know who this is. Is Mark, is it? Or
Ismark is Irena's stepbrother.
ah, okay. Okay. No, that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm. Okay, so basically I have a secret identity as essentially an accountant from what you're telling me. And
yeah,
would you
yeah.
want me to play that character as well or not? Because that could give it
I,
away
that
too much.
that would give it away way too much.
Right, right. And you've already played
The
him, right?
interesting, yeah, I've already characterized him and given him all of that. I mean,
Right.
if there's anything that's pertinent to what you need to know,
Yeah.
then I'd definitely pass that on.
Right.
Um, I've switched it up a little bit just to be, just to give it some interest in that. Ismark has actually, they've been working together for 5 days, and Ismark has already formed a bit of a crush on him.
Okay.
Where Vasily's objective is basically to the same as Strahd's, is to woo Irina.
Right.
So there's a bit of a love triangle possibly going wrong there.
Hmm. Right. So Strahd's not going to be too happy about that, I assume.
No, probably not.
So why doesn't Strahd just kill him?
Uh,
He's more subtle than that.
yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
He likes to think that he's civilized, perhaps. Or maybe he's
Yep.
planning some torturous.
He definitely wants to. Yeah, I mean, deep down, he'll definitely want to torture um, anybody who's standing in the way of him and Tatiana's.
Well, what if he has like a
Eventually.
threefold approach, like where he starts, where he's like, look, I know you're in love with the girl. She's beautiful, and I understand. I too, have feelings for her. But you really have to accept that you're just a fucking child, and it's never going to work. So just give it up, And he goes away and leaves him alone, and then maybe comes back later and he's like, okay, look, I've warned you once. You really have to stop fucking with Irina because she's mine, and if you keep this up, I'm going to tear you apart. Like really.
Oh
And here's a
no, no,
warning. I'm
sorry,
gonna
sorry. I'm meaning Ismark
hmm,
is the stepbrother of Irina.
right,
He's
right.
in
Sorry,
like he's
sorry.
kind of he's crushing on Vasily.
Right, Strahd's counter.
Uh,
Right. Sorry,
Strahd's, yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. Yeah, right.
Um,
Same thing.
yeah,
Same.
yeah, yeah.
Ultimately, the
I
same
just
outcome.
wanted to change that up a little bit, just to
Right,
keep it interesting and be that little bit more diverse as well
right. For
with what I'm
sure.
doing there.
Yeah, for sure. Anything we can do to do that is great. That's and it's
Mm,
not easy. It's not easy. I mean, I'm talking nonstop. I'm talking on the internet about diversity in D&D and what have you. But then I play my
yeah,
D&D games and I'm like, oh my god, it's just tropes.
yeah. As much as I love playing, Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi and Jack Palance and all of that,
Right.
I'm like, fuck, why am I doing this? This is just reinforcing these stereotypes.
Right. right.
Um,
Exactly. That's the concern, isn't it? It's how to
but
do it.
I do think it's as much as it is the DMs, that it's on the players as well to
Right.
bring what they want to the
Right.
game.
Well, would you like me to flirt with the male characters in the story too? Like, that could be
As in the
amusing.
piece, as in the
Well, you've only
PCs.
got one male PC, don't
There's
you?
only one male PC. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well,
Well, that's still
I'm
possible.
I'm taking the decision to have Ismark kind of in love with Vasily
Hmm.
from the fact that Strahd has a male bride that he's converting in the castle.
Oh, okay. Is that in
There's
the book, or that's
there's a
something that?
character, yeah. There's a male character tied to a bed with his neck bitten.
Ah.
In the what's his name? Isha. He's in the process of being turned,
Ah.
and he's sort of really quite cavalier about it. I think I haven't had the time to characterize him yet, but
Okay.
I found that quite interesting that they kind of put that in a corner of the castle and not much more said about it.
Right. It's just there. Just for
Yeah,
you.
it's just
I guess
there
they left it there for someone like, some people like us to come along and make a thing of it,
and go, yeah, why not
develop it,
do, yeah, why
use it.
not find other
Right.
other LGBTQ
Right.
kind of things
Angles.
to
Yeah,
throw, angles to throw in there.
for sure.
But yeah, Strahd could I think Strahd definitely cuts both ways.
Okay. So what kind of opportunities will there be for Strahd to interact with the players?
Um, there's this first one. There's this one in front of the church,
Okay.
which has presented itself. There's, I mean, the dinner kind of happens whether as soon as Strahd is aware of the presence and the power of the characters,
Right.
which will probably happen now that he's meeting them
Right.
anyway. When I say power, I mean the potential power.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there's lots of opportunities. Yester Hill is one of the places that is Strahd's domain. It's the
Right.
other end of the map, and
Yeah.
it's like
I've
where
done
he
a lot of
goes to.
heroic encounters at Yesterhill on
Yeah.
Neverwinter.
Oh, right. Yeah. Where he goes to reflect um,
Right.
and peer out into the greater abyss kind of thing, because it's right on the edge of the mists.
Right.
Um, the castle, of course,
Yeah.
and the castle's going to be I'm not even sure how I'm going to tackle the castle as yet. It's
It's a
a wee way
scary.
down the track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are you thinking of it as a dungeon crawl, or are you thinking of it as a something else? Like how are you haven't figured that out yet?
Um,
Depends on the players too.
yeah, it's got to be a bit of both.
Yeah.
There's a certain element that is very much a haunted house to it. There's
Right.
stuff in there that's written that's like, what Strahd has set up a dummy of himself in a hallway that floats around like it's in a fairground,
Absolutely.
haunted house thing. It's like,
Right. That's a bit.
why are you doing this?
Right.
Um,
Well, here's a question. Okay, so if you want me to, uh, you want me to sort of give you some input too. Like what I could do is make suggestions about like the setting could actually literally change over time. As Strahd
yep.
lives in his house, as he lives in the castle, he may
Mm.
choose to rearrange things um, based on what the characters do and who they are, or even just on his own mood at the time. I don't know whether that's of any value to you, or whether you want to run it strictly to the book.
Oh, definitely not. I kind of like the idea of the first, if they do go for dinner and do and it's clear that they do want to go and explore the castle,
Yeah.
Strahd's like,
Okay.
sure, no problem.
You
Don't
could show
open
them
any
around.
locked doors. But he shows them just a very limited version of the castle.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
they can go off on their own, but if they kill anybody, if they antagonize anybody in the castle, or
Right.
go outside of the realms of where they should be, then it's game on.
Right. Right. For sure. And at 5th level,
And
they better not.
he could just about reconfigure the castle himself and go, these doors don't even exist at this point, or
Right.
we just make a smaller version of the castle
Right.
that
You could.
they step outside the castle and go, there's more to that castle than met the eye at first,
Right.
because there's a lot of that in the campaign.
Right. And he's very much a part of the demi-plane itself. It's almost like he embodies it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, do you
And
think the character?
that's why I think. I mean, I don't want to play with it too strongly, because I think some of the players will react quite badly. But I think that's why the gaslighting thing is quite prevalent. It's not just about tricking the players into, not just about tricking Irina into questioning the very things that she's seeing in front of her, but also the players.
Have you got your plug loose there? Yep, that's better. Yep, lost you for a
Is it
second.
better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yep. Just that whole gaslighting thing again, of it's not just Irina that should be questioning the very essence of what they're seeing and what's going on
Right.
in this world, but also the party. So having the castle maybe change, the makeup of the castle essentially transform from visit to visit.
Right.
Could be interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. What about in the Neverwinter game? You've got the 3 sisters. Do they have much prevalence in the book?
The witches in the just before they got to Vallaki, they got to old. They went and investigated around Old Bone Grinder, which is the windmill.
Right. Yeah.
The paladin is now addicted to their pies. She's also the paladin is also 100 years old and built like Hulk Hogan.
Right. What race is the paladin?
She's human. She's the only human in the party.
Okay. So female paladin. Okay. Are we talking chainmail or plate armor or?
She's wannabe plate. I think she's got chain at the moment, but
right.
We're going to get her into. I'm angling to get her into Strahd's animated armor at some point.
Right.
Yeah,
I was going to say, because Strahd may have some gifts for the players.
Yeah. This is an interesting one for Strahd. The quest that I gave her, the paladin, is that she has to win back her god's favor. She's god of it's god of Soon, so the god of beauty.
Okay.
And she's very Midwestern, Texan drawl kind of big blonde woman.
This is the player or the character?
Going around chatting everybody up. The player themselves is a small Asian dude.
Oh, okay.
But he's playing a 6.5 foot tall blonde Texas one. She started as an octogenarian, and I think it was second session she got touched by a ghost.
Oh, okay.
And I rolled. I think it's it's a D4, and I rolled a 4, and she aged up 40 years. So
wow. So what? How serious do you consider the players? Like, are they like really role playing focused? Are they they're there to? What are their goals?
Some of them I don't think they completely know as yet. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to make
goals.
impression on them and maybe help them set those goals.
Yeah. Yep. Um, I mean, okay. I'll link you to the.
Oh yeah, you sent me a campaign diary, didn't you?
Spreadsheet.
But I haven't.
Yeah.
I seem to have lost that. It's in Facebook somewhere. Hang on, I can open up Facebook over here.
So I'll link you to this one. This is probably the one that you need. What's your email address?
I'll type it in for you. Hold on.
Yep.
Oh my God, I can't spell my own name. There you go.
Get my glasses on.
I'm just scrolling back through my Facebook to see, through the Facebook chat to see if I can find that campaign diary link I think you sent me. Is that what it was?
Yeah, yeah, that's written by the one male in the party, the tiefling ranger, who's
Right.
a town guard.
Right.
Some think of him somewhere. Have you read? I'm sure you've probably read a lot of Terry Pratchett.
Oh yeah, I've read most of Terry
Yep.
Pratchett.
So he's somewhere between Sergeant Carrot
Right.
and Blade.
Okay.
He's got
That's an interesting juxtaposition.
he's got aspirations to be a vampire hunter, like a demon hunter, a vampire hunter.
Right.
And essentially the reason that he's been dragged in here and his mission is to find Rudolph van Richten,
Right.
and seek training from the master
Right.
vampire hunter. Yeah.
Well, maybe I can. What would be fun is to spend time with each of the characters, not necessarily, maybe even one-on-one if that's possible, but that might be too much time. But ideally one-on-one, trying to corrupt them and convince them that I can give them this power. They're gonna get, something that the other players are not gonna get. Of course, I'm lying through my back teeth. They will never get anything out of me. I'll probably kill them before I give them anything. But it would be fun to see how far you can twist them. Because that seems to be the general gist of this.
That is very much the general gist of this. Yeah. Like, the paladin is in quite a bad way because she's got she's an addict and she's an octogenarian.
Right.
So she's going to be wanting some sort of help. And I've given her a couple of dreams directly from Strahd so far that have been, come and I will help you, become my bride, and I will take you on this journey, and your life will be changed forever.
Right. That makes sense. All right.
The
So
only
we
other
continue playing on that theme. I'm actually just looking for I wrote a diary from when I played Strahd briefly. I mean, we didn't get very far, but I did write a diary, and I hope I can find it. Maybe it's not there. Might be in Roll20.
I have not been able to get my head around Roll20. I would have loved to have used it, but
yeah, Roll20 has its upsides and its downsides, and I've played on it a few times. I've never DM'd on it. I've been fucking around with the dynamic lighting on it just by myself, and I've managed to light one level of a dungeon.
Yep.
And it's really painfully tedious, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just setting it up seems to be a pain in the ass. And if it all worked all by itself, that'd be fine, but it doesn't. Maybe if
Yeah.
you bought all the supplements through Roll20, it might be a bit better.
I think that might be it. I have a friend who down in Christchurch who's running Eberron
Right.
on there, and just when we went into lockdown, I was panicking about how I was going to play it online, and we spent an evening. Like he spent an evening trying to show me how to use it, and by the end of it, I was just like, "What?"
Yeah. Look, we played the Death House on Roll20, and
Mm,
it was, well, first of all, it was deadly, but it was
yeah,
very moody, and it did work pretty well, to be fair. But the amount of work that you would have to do to make it work is quite a lot, I feel.
yep,
And I don't know whether it's worth it, especially if you're doing like a home brew campaign or something, you know. Um,
yeah,
I like the fact that it's really automated. What I don't like is that the video windows are really small. And personally, I don't know whether you've watched my acting for role-playing games video that I
not,
shot the other day, but
not yet, but it's
I, I,
gonna.
I talk
Yep,
about basically how you can use the frame for your role-playing, and
yep,
you can't do that with a stupid little frame in the bottom corner of your screen.
mm,
I don't know if you can see the screen right now, but you can do stuff like this.
yeah, absolutely.
That sort of thing. You can get right in people's faces, and you can actually lean out of shot and use them as a wipe, moving in and out of character, that kind of stuff. You can block the frame. um, there's a lot of stuff you can do with a frame.
Yeah,
And yeah, and so
of
and the bigger the screen is, the more you can actually see the other actors, the other players. I mean, I'm coming at it from an acting point of view, because you're supposed to be listening to the other players, and in acting terms, listening with your eyes. So you're paying attention to them, and that's how you
Yep.
figure out your chemistry. And
Mm.
there's a 50% less chemistry if you can't see your fellow players. So
That's also a thing for me. Is I've been like when playing online, it's been
yeah,
really hard to get that eye line with the
right,
players because there's so much else going on behind, you know,
right,
at the keyboard and
right.
on the battle map and all of that. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, for
been
sure.
tricky. Yeah.
I mean, my general take on it is to play theater of the mind until the point where you absolutely need to use the battle
Mm.
map in order to logistically deal with the combat situation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, or you just want to show someone a room, and you want to say it's laid out like this, and you want them to sort of say, where do I search, sort of thing. That you're trying to figure out where to search or what to look for.
Yeah.
That helps for that sort of thing. But really, most of the time, you don't need a battle map. Um, and it just slows things down. I mean, screwing around with miniatures takes forever.
It does. Yeah.
Anything that cuts into the pace is detrimental to your story.
Hmm.
So all this. I mean, why am I?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um,
Oh, I can't find my old
God,
thing. Oh well, maybe it's in Discord. Never
thank you for
mind.
being keen, man. This is
Oh, you're welcome. This is really
this is
exciting.
awesome.
The,
Yeah.
the opportunity to play Strahd without having to DM Strahd is
Yeah.
especially, that's an awesomely cool opportunity. You don't get
Yeah.
that every day of the week.
I thought that might be a nice little temptation.
Right. Well, I
for
mean, honestly,
freaking
I'm a little bit
someone who's been
surprised. Like, why would you give up Strahd? He's like the best NPC in the world.
well because I'm like I want to I want to flesh out the rest of the world and characterize it properly. And
Right.
if someone else is essentially playing the main character,
Right.
then that gives me the room to
Right.
play all of the environments, get my
Well,
descriptions in a better place. And
here's an interesting thing, actually, because my friend Barry is, we're doing a really similar thing in my homebrew campaign, where he is basically the long story short is there's a
mhm,
shadow dragon that's the antagonist. And the shadow dragon is trapped in the Shadowfell, but the
mhm,
shadow dragon uses essentially the Shadow Kai and also various forms of possession to influence the prime material plane and this particular world, Sidariel. And so he is playing the
yeah,
Shadow Dragon. My friend's playing the Shadow Dragon, and the other players have no idea that actually pretty much everything they're going through, he's already aware of and is getting feedback on and has some influence of, which is it's pretty interesting. But that being said,
Yeah.
he's playing two characters. He's also playing in the campaign as well, with the players. But it's okay to me. It's okay because he's a really good player, and
Oh,
he can separate himself. And
like
he
it. Yeah.
when he's playing one character, he really is not aware of, and he also doesn't know what the details are, because he'll be like, I want this to happen, I'm going to set this to do this, but as to how those things are enacted by his servants, he doesn't really know what the fine details of them are. So when they occur in the game, he's not really up with it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't
Yeah.
really affect his role playing. And
Yeah.
even if it does, which I don't know whether it does, to be honest, if it does affect his role playing, he's really good at hiding it, and it doesn't matter.
Is that going to become part of the campaign by the end of it, or is
Of our
it?
campaign, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. He ultimately, he's one of the main antagonists who, he's not really the end boss. In fact, actually, there's a good 50% chance that he may be the one that helps them find the keys that they need to actually finish the story.
Right.
My campaign is all about restoring the sacred feminine to the world. And so Sehanine
Oh,
Moonbow, the
cool.
goddess of the moon, has been destroyed essentially, and thrown into the abyss, essentially by Grumsh, because Grumsh is taking revenge for his eye, because Corellon Larathian, god of the elves, took out his eye at the beginning of the Dawn War.
Yep.
And so Grumsh destroyed the moon of Sodariel, which is a demi-plane split off from Farun that Corellon has basically kept aside as a secret from the rest of the multiverse,
Oh,
and
yep. Yep.
from the gods too. And this
Hmm.
was like, you know how like they've got Evermeet, and they've got oh, what's it called, Arvandor. There's various planes where the elves have had as secret havens, and so Sodariel is one of these secret havens for the elves.
Yep.
um, and Grumsh eventually found out about this, and he sent this asteroid basically to destroy the moon, which was where Sehanine kept her sacred temple and her avatar in this world. And he destroyed the moon and caused this huge gash to run through the middle of the world. And that asteroid also happens to be a transdimensional portal to an interdimensional dungeon. but but that's another story. And that's where all the bad things in Sodariel have basically sprung from, is from this interdimensional dungeon that's part of this asteroid that struck the Earth and destroyed the
Yeah.
moon. So the players, basically what they have to do is they have to figure all of this shit out. They're going to have to unite a number of different kingdoms. So there's a whole political drama that's going to take them through to level 10. About that point, they're going to have to start exploring the remnant moons. Like, so when the moon was destroyed, because it was actually a temple, and like an architecturally built temple, it's split up into all these pieces across the sky. And so the players are going to have to visit each of these dungeons in the sky, basically, and collect keys.
Right. Yep.
And eventually they'll have to face the shadow dragon who's pulling the strings behind the politics, only to find out that is being controlled by the Raven Queen, who turns out to be the sister of Sehanine Moonbow. And the Raven Queen doesn't actually want her to be trapped in the abyss, so she's going to help the players to gain access to the abyss. And so then the players have to raise an army to go to the abyss and save Sehanine Moonbow and bring her back to the world.
Wow.
And they're doing all of this on behalf of a group called the Daughters of Twilight, actually. So it's a matriarchal order of Eladrin elves, clerics and paladins, who are basically who the player characters are working for. And in my primary campaign, all the players are paladins. They're all elven paladins. And that's really interesting.
All of the players.
All the players are elven paladins in my.
Did you set
central.
that up, or did they just all?
No, I set that up. I set it
Oh,
up.
right. Cool.
But it works pretty well. I mean, they're all elven paladins, and they're all childhood friends as well. And they were all trained together, and they were all sent on the first mission together. And so they've remained together, and it works really great from a point of view of just getting them doing stuff, motivated. They're not there for greed. They're not there to kill stuff. They're not there for the loot. They're there because they've got orders and because they're friends, and they work together, and they have a chemistry that comes prepackaged. And they were all good with that from the outset. So that was pretty cool.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's really great. That's such a well thought out scenario there. Yeah.
Well, I spent 2 years writing it
Oh,
before
okay.
anybody even set foot in it. So yeah, it's taken a bit of effort, and it's a work. It's a work.
S- Something for me that I'm a lot more comfortable with is using, like, I don't want it to sound the wrong way, but pre-prepared modules and
Serial, right?
campaigns,
Yeah,
because it gives a lived-in feel for me
right,
anyway. I'm
right,
able to give it, well, I'm able to give it as a DM a lived-in feel.
right.
Whereas if I write it myself, it comes off as too personal, and I'm like stopping myself and wrecking my pace, and
Oh no,
yeah, it's weird like that.
I
Um,
I get that. I mean, it's also like if you've ever directed a film that you've written versus a film that somebody else has written,
yeah,
they're two very different experiences, and
yeah,
they both have their strengths and weaknesses.
exactly, yeah,
It's there's a lot of objectivity that you are given from directing somebody else's script,
yep,
whereas if you're directing your own script, you have less objectivity, but you do have a lot more control, and you can be much more certain about what you're doing in some ways.
that's true. I think the couple of homebrews that I've started into, I think I just maybe second guessed myself more than anything else.
Right.
Um,
I
but
still steal a lot of shit. Don't worry.
yeah,
It's not. It's
of
not like
course, yeah,
you have to. There's just you don't have enough time in the day to invent every single thing. That's
yeah, exactly, yeah,
outrageous. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. But to be fair, I mean, amongst the things that I would want to do is actually, Strahd. I'm holding it up, but it keeps phasing out because I've
yep,
got my background on.
yep.
But yeah, that'd be one of the things. I've also got like the Yawning Portal, and I mean, I've got like 10 of the hardcover books, I think, something like that. There's a few I don't have for sure.
The one thing overarching that I haven't, like, I'm just starting to think about now that
Hmm.
they're making some direction into plot,
Hmm.
is where this goes. I have introduced a player to Vampire, so I mean, it might end up with
So
if
give me a
they
quick
if
heads
they
up. Who are
kill
you?
Strahd. Vampire is the dark power who gave Strahd his power.
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, so there's a possibility there that they might end up facing off Vampire.
Wow.
Um,
That doesn't sound like it would be good for them.
no,
Okay,
he's
here's a
just,
question.
yeah.
This is a serious question. Okay. So as far as your philosophy is concerned, do you want, like, okay, my intentions when when I plan to run Strahd eventually myself, as a DM,
Mhm.
my personal intention is to allow the players to get all the way through the story. They might die, they might be resurrected, there might be times when it's very, very difficult, and I certainly would give them the illusion that they could die at any time and make them feel like they just scraped through it. But I
Yep.
wouldn't kill them, because what's the fucking point in telling a story if you're not going to get to the end of it? you
Hmm.
know if you're going to put all this work in to read this whole book, and you're going to study the shit out of it, and you're going to put all this energy into it, you don't just kill the players, because honestly that's just silly. That's my opinion, of course. I'm
Yep.
just speaking honestly from my personal opinion. But there are other philosophies, and I've certainly played with at least one DM who just killed us in the death house over and over and over again, and we never got past like third level or something, and it was ridiculous. So it kind of, to me, it was like pointless. Why am I even playing this game if you're just going to kill me every time I do anything? If you're going to play it like it's a video game or a simulation, I'm
Yeah.
bored. I'm going to get bored with that. And it seems to me too that you're putting a lot of energy and thought into this campaign. So I don't know. I get the impression you're somewhere between the two.
I don't. I don't want to. I don't want to out and out TPK them.
I'm sorry,
Um,
I missed something there. You didn't want to.
oh, I don't want to out and out TPK them.
Right.
But if
But
they,
death is a possibility, right?
death is definitely a possibility here. I
Right.
mean, Helga has died already,
And if
and
they do
she,
die, will you give them the opportunity to re-roll characters? Like
yes, I do.
to start over. So,
The offer from Vampire for Helga was, resurrect as a new character, resurrect as yourself with a dark gift, or resurrect as a vampire.
ah.
So
And if you
she's
resurrect
getting
as a
the
vampire,
options.
what's the consequences of resurrecting as a vampire?
Uh, it would be Monster Manual standard,
Stat
like
block.
the eight stat block across the board.
Right.
And you resurrect, basically it would basically be a single player adventure. I think I'd play it as Buried, the movie. So they end up in a graveyard somewhere in Barovia, and
Right.
they have to get themselves out and then find out where they are,
Right.
and either get to the party or get to Strahd. And
Right. So that would, but they wouldn't be an NPC.
that wouldn't be an NPC.
Right. So they'd get to play a vampire. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Awesome. Okay. I'm just curious as to how you deal with it.
I haven't actually like fully thought that out yet, but there is an option.
Well, the thing too
And I
is,
think
look,
I probably should.
that you're making yourself very vulnerable at the moment, because I'm asking you questions which you really shouldn't have to answer, because
Yep.
ultimately you're the DM and you can make up anything you like whenever the fuck you like.
Yep.
You don't have to.
There is that, but
and you don't have to justify it.
There are some decisions that I need to have made beforehand as well.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely worth having a plan, and at least if you've got a plan, you can deviate from it.
yeah.
You don't have to stick to it. But you've got one. And if you've thought it through, you've got some sort of internal logic, and that's good. Yeah.
I think I do. Yeah.
Look, man, I mean, it sounds to me like you know what you're talking about. I don't have any sort of burning issues with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know enough about it to be fair from the starting anyway. So I'm not in any position to do that. But
Ravenloft's been one of those ones. I used to play a lot. Used to play as a player a lot, and I DM'd a lot when I was a kid.
right,
And I haven't touched D&D until I met Heidi, and she was like, "I'd like to learn how to play D&D." We went off with one of those professional groups here in Auckland. I can't remember their name now. Played a session. And she loved it, and she was like, "I want to do more of this." So I was like, "Let's throw a campaign together." I've always wanted to play something in Ravenloft because I had a couple of the modules back in the day, but I just never felt like reading them. I felt I didn't have the life experience, kind of thing.
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
as an actor, you can't pull certain things out of yourself.
right.
But now I feel that the time
has come.
The time has come.
Right. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I get that. And those modules, to be honest, those second edition modules, they were not very well written either, to be fair.
Yeah.
They were pretty convoluted and very difficult to understand. And it was, they didn't really motivate players very well. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, Matt Colville talks about this shit, actually. Yeah, I mean, you've been watching him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Devoured over lockdown.
Yeah, right. Same here.
Yeah.
I watched I think I've watched all of his running the game videos now.
Yep.
I was going through them today looking for something I hadn't watched, and I was like, no, I think I've seen everything. What do I watch now?
I wish he would be doing more than just the one or two every 3 months or so. He's so good at, like, he's really the only DM video that I'll watch consistently.
I'll tell you who else is good, actually, is, or at least in my opinion, is Seth Sakowski. Do you know him?
No, I don't think so.
He does very similar to Matt Colville, although he doesn't speak anywhere near as quickly. But what he does is he actually illustrates his points better than Matt Colville, because he does these fake game session videos where he plays all of the players.
Oh, right.
And so he demonstrates like a whole scene where the players he's got like all these archetypal players that he plays. He dresses up himself and plays each character sitting around the table.
How do you spell his last name?
Sakowski. Hang on, I'll link you in a second. Yep. One of his sessions, one of his playlists is called Role Playing Philosophy, I think, and that's how I found him, actually, because that's of interest to me. YouTube. Hold on. Oh, He also doesn't just cover D&D. He covers all sorts of role-playing games as well. So
Yep.
he's not.
Oh, yep. I've got it.
You got
His,
it?
yeah, his YouTube. Yep. Cool. Let's get subscribed to that guy. Cool. Yeah, I'll give him a look a bit later on. Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, that was basically it. Yeah, just that dude's he's pretty interesting, and I think he's the next best thing to Matt Colville. You know,
Matt
I mean,
Colville.
no doubt
Yeah.
you've watched lots of Matt Mercer, but honestly, Matt Mercer's stuff is so basic that it's not really that great.
Not much actually. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Matt Mercer's videos.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of a few of the playthroughs of this,
Right.
which have been helpful to lesser and greater extents. And Adventure Time, I think Adventure Time is
You mean the TV
so
series
great.
Adventure Time, the cartoon?
It's so fun, and it actually no, not is it Adventure Time or no the podcast?
Oh, I haven't
It's
seen
not
that.
Adventure Time, is it?
I haven't seen this.
It's open my Spotify. Oh, three brothers and their father, who used to be a radio talk show host in the 80s,
Oh, okay.
playing D&D once a week, and it's hilarious. And I started listening to it just when we just before the characters got into Vallaki, and it really added a humorous like tone to the town, because the town is actually, the current burgomaster is pretty ridiculous.
Right.
The whole all will be well thing, and the insistence that vampires can't get in or out of the gates. He's and constantly running festivals. So I made Vallaki. The current Vallaki has a visitor center with two guards who look after it at each end specifically, and they're, you know, it's just kind of ridiculous, built on that sort of superstitious formalities
Right.
of having to sign into a town, and but it's all to naught because Strahd can cross that threshold whenever the fuck he likes, really.
Right.
Yeah. Which is what's happened. The town Vallaki hasn't seen Strahd because I haven't really decided how long it's been. It's been about a year that Strahd's been in this current incarnation, but if he's looked out of the castle window at all, it's been at Barovia Village,
Right.
because that's where he's felt the presence of Titania.
Okay.
Where was I going with that? I have a bit of a tendency to waffle.
That's all right. So do I. Especially when I'm in DM mode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and just finding like a lot of I've been finding that a lot of the other DMs and stuff that contribute to the Reddit and other places, just take the whole thing a little bit too seriously. I don't want to out and out play it as stupid horror comedy,
right?
But there are a lot of really good places to be humorous with it,
right?
Which I think a lot of people don't see.
Right.
They just treat it as an exercise in complete and utter grimness.
Well, the problem with that scenario, you know, the complete and utter grimness scenario, is that if you don't have any shades of color, essentially, you don't have any contrast, then there's no impact. Actually,
yeah, exactly.
You actually do have to have ups and downs, otherwise you're not going to have any. There's no storytelling there.
Definitely, yeah.
It just flattens the whole thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and also I think there's room even for Strahd to be funny.
Oh, I think Strahd probably thinks he's hilarious a lot of the time.
Right.
And
I'm going to be perfect then.
Yeah, like his jokes probably fall completely flat on non-immortal ears.
Right.
He'll make in jokes about about what it is to be living as essentially immortal, and he'll have thought about these for so many years that
Right.
the punchline is just like,
Lost.
what? Lost in the depths of time. It's just too archaic to be
Right.
understandable. Yeah.
Right. Hmm.
Um,
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Please tell me more.
uh, I don't know, Strahd. What do you need to know?
Tell me more of Barovia.
Well, it's
Who are my
definitely
who are my direct subservient generals?
well, your closest answerable lieutenant is a half elf by the name of Rahadin.
Rahadin, come.
Yes,
There is much to do.
yes. He is. He's already had an interaction with the party.
Okay.
Already, you sent your you sent him off with a missive to the funeral of the Barovian burgomaster, and the party all were very standoffish, and he didn't have anything really amazing to report. They seemed pretty nervous to be where they were.
And how were they armed?
You saw a sword on on one of the faithful.
There is a faithful among them.
Yes, there very much is.
What is their faith?
She seems to be a beauteous fighter type.
A beauteous fighter.
It had some sort of sun on her shield. She seemed quite obsessed with being beautiful. She was tall and blonde.
I see. Vanity, my favorite sin.
There looked to be a dwarf as well, with a very, very big axe and possibly a chip on her shoulder.
I see.
And an infernal amongst them, the only male.
Perhaps we can become friends.
Yes, my lord. I think so.
How many of them are there?
There are 5.
5.
There was also a dark-skinned woman with light tattoos and a light robe, and a very, very small, very, very old mushroom of a woman.
Do these heroes have any retainers among them?
Not that I could see, my lord.
Not that you could see. Are you a fool?
Well,
Do you have eyes?
you employ me, my lord.
I do employ you. And horses? Do they have horses?
No. And they won't be getting any soon.
Can Strahd spy on them? Can he scry?
He's already a raven took a little nibble out of the neck of the paladin,
Oh,
and flew it back to Strahd. So,
so he has some of their blood.
yep.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So I could keep that blood in a vial somewhere in my castle.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, that's what I'm doing. All right. Do I have any scrying spells or anything like that? What sort of spells does he have? Does he have spells?
the basic Strahd stat block is in the back.
Right. I know I've looked at it, but
if you do find any
here we
other
go.
stat blocks for Strahd that you would prefer, but I think that's a pretty good one, pretty reasonable.
144 hit points. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
18, 18, 18, 20, 15, 18. Oh my God. Wow. That's some pretty serious stats. Okay.
Yeah.
+9 to dexterity saving throws, +7 to wisdom, +9 to charisma saving throws. Holy shit. Damage resistances. Okay. He's got no immunities, but resistances are good too. Dark vision 120. Passive perception 22.
Strahd has noticed that the trail of fire can be tracked as well to like a single shaft of light occasionally occurring along that corridor. It looks like moonlight.
I see. Well, I would have to investigate this, probably in the form of a bat.
Yeah, when you have you've seen that the druid quite regularly uses moonbeam.
I see.
To try and off a lot of
moonbeam, if I recall, works
creatures.
against undead. Is that right?
It works against undead, but Strahd. This is a timeout thing actually.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that within the realms of Barovia, moonlight has no effect.
Right.
I've asked the question on the Reddit, but like a lot of them have been like, "I just treat it as more damage," and I'm like, well, if sunlight is going to have such a bad effect on Strahd,
right,
then moonlight has to be basically the opposite. Like they're going to do. I'm allowing the moonbeam to do normal damage as normal on every other kind of creature, even his vampires. But I don't think moonbeam's going to work at all on Strahd.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's a problem.
Well, I mean, I haven't looked at Moonbeam, although funnily enough, I have a scroll of Moonbeam in one of my other games because I'm running a bunch of games at the moment. Where's D&D Beyond gone? Wrong tab. I just want to look it up and see what it says.
Yeah.
Strahd would be familiar with what it does, do you think, or would it be a foreign
Absolutely.
thing to him?
It's hang on. Like, what's his casting skills?
Charm.
It's evocation.
It's evocation?
Oh, it's specific to druid as well. So I think he'd know it. He'd know it from the Yester Hill druids would probably use moonbeam.
Okay. Are they pro Strahd or anti Strahd?
They're pro Strahd. Okay. Very much. Yeah.
Okay.
They're essentially the defenders of his land.
1 action, 2nd level, radiant damage, constitution check, evocation, 5-foot radius, 40-foot cylinder, centered on a point, 2d10 radiant damage on a failed save. I don't know.
Nothing serious.
I don't think it's that serious, but then I could be wrong. I mean, it's hard to know how the dice are going to fall, you know?
Exactly, yeah. And I got really nervous because, like, second session, I think it was, she just shone moonbeam at one of the at the vampire spawn, and under the church, at Doru, and he was toast. And
wow!
I was like, wow, this.
How many hit points do the vampire spawn have?
Like 80 something.
Holy shit!
Like it only
They
took her. It only took her a couple of turns.
well, but what about her? Okay, well, how long can you hold this up for? Casting time, one action, and it lasts. Oh, it lasts for a minute. Holy
Yeah,
shit!
yeah. It lasts the 10 rounds, and you can move it like a spotlight.
You can move
So
it. Oh
yeah,
crap! Far out.
and as long as they are still in it at the end of their turn, at the beginning of their turn, it gives the same damage again. It's just like
Wow,
yeah,
that's
and
mean.
like I didn't see that. I didn't even think about that when I ran
Wow,
that session, and it was like fuck.
that is
He's just
seriously intense.
toast. The
So you've already
they-
established that she's got it, or he's got it, whoever it is, and
she, yep.
and you've
The
established.
little mushroom gnome
Okay, so
who
it's like
looks like Professor Sprout.
are they like a myconicid or something?
No, she's definitely a gnome. She's just wearing a mushroom hat.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, it's
okay,
very very small.
okay. They need to be. I want to put them in prison, and keep them in a cage next to my bed, but that's long term plans. Um, right. So they've already did they kill that vampire spawn?
They did, and that was the son of the priest of the town. That's
Okay.
basically as written.
Do you have any way or any reason how you could make that vampire spawn for some reason just happen to be the weakest one of all of them?
Yeah, that's basically what I've decided.
Right.
That the
And did
the bride that they just fought against is probably the most powerful of any of the other vampires in the game that they've encountered so far, and she
right,
wasn't taking damage easily at all.
right.
The same with her
So
her spawn.
do
Yeah,
you think I mean saving throws is the other thing too? Because I mean you could fudge your saving throws.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if they it looks like they're getting their asses kicked, you can let them fail their saving throws. But if they're if they're killing your NPCs, well, they just start saving, don't they?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Was that first vampire spawn failing or making them? That's what I'm
I,
curious to know.
I think he was failing pretty badly.
Okay, so it could have just been the dice,
It could have just been the dice.
and
Yeah.
they might have been rolling really high damage numbers on those 2d10.
I think she was casting it at third level as well. I think it was 3D.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
she had the extra
Oh,
D10.
fuck, she's
Yeah,
upcasting
because
it.
they were third level when they came in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Right. So that is a lot of hit points.
yeah.
Right. And 80 hit points. I mean, what's that, like 4 rounds or something? 3 or 4 rounds? 5 rounds? Couldn't have been that many. And you've got other players hitting them too, I assume.
Yeah, it wasn't that many rounds, but that was the only like relevant magical damage that was being done.
Right. Right.
Even Raj wasn't. I think
Verbal, somatic, and material components.
I'm not worrying about material components.
Because you could have hobbled them with that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I made an executive decision at session 0
Not
not
to
to
concern yourself
worry
with.
too much with material components, especially with a druid who this is her first
Right.
time in D&D as
Right.
well. So
Right. Fair enough.
yeah, as much as she does enjoy going out and picking mushrooms and
Right. Well, you could say that this is the wrong season for the mushrooms, and you just can't find the
yeah,
ones you need for the moonbeam.
could be.
Moonbeam season's over, buddy. You're fucked now. might be too obvious.
Yeah, no, I don't honestly think that Moonbeam's going to be a problem for Strahd at all. It's just sunlight.
Right.
And
Well, I
the
mean,
only
also, what does he have to make a dex check, right? And he
I
gets
think so, yeah.
+9 to a dex saving throw.
Is his dex saving +9?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, right? There's no way he's going to fail it. I mean, I'm just going to grab
Yeah.
some dice and roll a few dex saving throws just to see how badly it goes. And I seriously doubt I'm going to fail any of these rolls. Like, okay, so what's the difficulty rating? It's going to be against their spells, their DC, isn't it? Their
Yep.
spell attack thing. Do you know what it is?
I'd have to have a look at it on there.
Well, oh, I rolled a 1. Shit. So that'd be a
Okay.
10. I would have rolled a 10. Even if I roll a 1, I roll a 10. But it's an automatic fail. So I roll a 9, so that's an 18. I roll another 1. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
I think the only time he's going to completely fail in a save is a 1.
You wouldn't believe it, but I just rolled 3 1s. I rolled a 1, a 9, a 1, a 9, a 6, and a 1.
Get that out of your system.
And then I rolled a 19. Right. Okay. So it's unlikely, and if he does fail, that'll give them a chance to feel like they've really hit him once. You know.
Yep. For sure. Yeah.
The other thing too is like I'm inclined to, if I get into a fight with them, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to fight them to the death. You know, I'm going to run away.
Strahd is far from stupid. He's also got spells for that. He's
right.
Misty Step.
Right. Misty Step, Spider Climb.
Yep. He's got his additional actions as well. I mean.
Right. Legendary actions.
Legendary actions.
Right. Children of the Night.
I mean, go and have a look.
How does his charm work? Like, is there any reason why he would or wouldn't charm them from the outset?
Not at all.
Target can see Strahd the target.
Yeah.
Holy shit! DC 17 Wisdom saving throw against his magic or be charmed. Trusted friend to be heeded and protected. The target isn't under his control, but it takes Strahd's requests and actions in the most favorable way and lets Strahd bite it. Each time Strahd or his companions do anything harmful to the target, it can repeat the saving throw, ending the effect. Otherwise, the effect lasts 24 hours or until Strahd is destroyed on a different plane. Right. Okay, well, why the fuck wouldn't I just charm the shit out of them constantly? That seems like the obvious strategy for Strahd. Just every 24 hours, I just have an interaction with them and charm them.
And get them doing your will.
Right. Every 24 hours I do that. And what is my will? Basically is to obtain Irina. Is that right?
So Strahd's objectives, Irina is one of them.
Okay.
It's up on the next page, actually. Tactics. No. Where is it? Well, maybe it's not.
I think it's at the front of the book, at least in my version.
Yeah.
His objectives are all up there. Well, yeah, so besides obtaining Irina, it could also be considered as unconscious objective to escape from Barovia.
Yep.
So whilst I mean, what do you think of the idea that he actually subconsciously is going to self-sabotage himself at some point, or he may sabotage himself. Given the right circumstances, there might be some self-sabotaging tendency that arises, this tendency towards Thanatos.
What in particular?
In so much as he's got these people here, there's some part of him that... Okay, here's the question. Can Strahd, in your universe, can he be redeemed?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's more interesting if he can be redeemed, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's more tragic if he doesn't. If he's not, it makes it more tragic, and it's going to make it more tragic for the players. Like I ran a campaign in Vampire the Masquerade once where I had it was Chicago by Night was a big core part of it. It wasn't the entire campaign, right, but that was a main part of it. This campaign went on for 13 years out of game.
Wow.
Like, it was a long campaign. And the main antagonist was Helena, like Helen of Troy, Helena.
Yep.
So she's this Methuselah that's been buried underneath Chicago for hundreds, well, at least 200 years. And she's in conflict with Menelius, who's also in torpor in Chicago, and he's underground and she's underground. And then basically she wakes up and she starts controlling various vampires in the city and using them against Menel. And so these two vampires are using, through dreams mostly, attacking each other with their minions, with their vampire bloodlines and minions to fight each other remotely, and using the city as a battleground. And eventually the players kind of had to come to terms with this and realize that there are these two fucking Methuselahs in the city. And this took years of gameplay to come to kind of conclusion. And eventually, they actually, remarkably, managed to find a way to kill Helene. And it was partly a fluke and partly a whole shit ton of work on their part. And when they did kill her, they went and they searched her haven, which was underneath this nightclub called the Succubus Club. And they found this, basically inside her area, there was all this fake shit. And then behind the fake shit was her actual haven, which pretty much consisted of a hole. And in that hole, after they fought the oversized ghoul Scorpion, there was almost no possessions except at the bottom of it were these 3 figurines of a mother, a father, and a daughter. And the players fucking cried.
Oh,
Right. This is this 2, 3, 4,000-year-old vampire who's been like just
Strahd.
fucking with their lives for all this time throughout the whole campaign, and they finally defeat this bad enemy. And it turns out like this character there was this remnant of who this character once was. So I'm fucking feeling it now. Talking about it.
The chintzy side of me,
I'm losing you a little bit.
Wants to refer to me like Strahd is like, and it's I would do anything for love.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Even down to the music video.
Right. He's a romantic at heart.
It's got that kind of feel to it. He's definitely a romantic at heart. That's why he's.
Well, he must have.
That's why the whole thing with getting Irina to come.
Well, this is what my wife said too. Actually, my wife has the same opinion that he's that at some point he can't be. He might be a psychopath, but he's also a vampire, which is another thing. He's not a human anymore. But at some point, he must have felt something for her because he chose her specifically. This was not about just she's pretty and I want to have sex with her. You know,
not Irina.
He at least believes he's got some kind of
spiritual
connection.
No, it's not Irina. Irina.
Not Irina.
Okay.
But
Irina's
she's the
soul.
Reincarnation, right?
Irina's soul is the reincarnation of Tatiana.
Right.
I think I want to have Irina have some agency from that, so she has a decision to make as to whether she gives herself to Strahd,
right,
and gives him herself and Tatiana's soul, or whether there's a way to be found for Tatiana's soul to
be free,
go to be free and go with Strahd, or to be free and go with Sergei in the pool in Kresik.
What about the possibility of her falling in love with one of the players?
Irina herself.
I don't know. I'm just throwing shit around.
That's a possibility as well.
Because if you give the players some input into the redemption of the various characters too, it could be more interesting for them. I don't know. I'm just throwing this at you because I don't know what the dynamics are or what you're planning.
It's not come up. You know, there's been really no sexual politics within the game so far.
Right. And that's often good. To be fair, it depends on your players. They might not appreciate it too. That's the other thing, you know. You have to be careful with that kind of thing. You don't want to be a sleaze bag.
Down to the we don't. I'm not sure I want Strahd to be sleazy.
Right, for sure.
I think he was deeply in love with Tatiana, so that's what he's trying to recapture, kind of thing.
Right.
The soul of Tatiana passes from woman to woman as it needs to. There's only. Do you know the thing about?
Oh, I'm losing you again.
On the
do I know the demi-plane?
There's only a limited number of souls.
Right. I have read a lot of this module, but over the last 2 years, and I haven't sat down to read the whole thing with the intention of running it anytime soon. So I've probably encountered a lot of this stuff, and it's in there somewhere, but it's not in my full brain. So do anything important, you better tell me.
So like about a quarter to half of the townsfolk in Barovia, the whole demiplane, are soulless. because there are only souls to go around.
Wow. Okay.
So essentially, those that have souls are the NPCs, and those that are without are just the kind of the background characters. Like, and even then, sometimes they come to the foreground. One of the children that they found in the witch's windmill had no soul, and they took him to the orphanage in Vallaki, and the mistress there just went, "Oh boy, and I'm kind of treating it like intellectual disability, that they treat them in they kind of
special.
They pigeonhole them off when they're children, but when they're adults, they're just like they're more zombies than
like lobotomized.
Yeah, they're just like lobotomized adults. Yeah, they just kind of stand around with their jaws agape.
Do they maybe? Right. Okay. Yeah, I was going to suggest what they could also do things like have repetitive patterns where whenever you see them, they're always doing the exact same thing and then repeating it, even if it's finished. I don't know, but that's crossing over to DM territory. So I need to stay on my side of the line. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't want to play that too much like they're autistic, because I have a brother who's autistic, and it's not. Yeah, I don't.
Apparently, I'm autistic.
Oh, really?
Apparently, I'm on the spectrum somewhere. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what that means exactly, but it's I'm a little bit special.
Does?
Right.
No one really knows what that means, even at the most extreme ends.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so we've got this soulless bunch of humans, and there's mostly humans, aren't they? I mean, but you've talked about, like, was it Rahid? Is that how you say his name? Or have I lost it?
Rahadin.
Right.
Yeah, he's a half elf. With the half elves, there's only male half elves in Barovia.
Okay.
And Sita, Raj's character, is a half elf. There's a dark-skinned half elf. Yeah, she's the only female.
So is she half drow?
No, she's black-skinned. She's not.
Okay.
Not grey.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't think she said drow. No. But she has had her. She's been in Barovia before, and I'll send you Raj's backstory.
Okay.
On that, she grew up basically
Raj is going to die
as a refugee in Barovia, because Raj had already read quite a lot of the old stuff, and he based the character out of some of the what's it called? Shadows of. It was like a campaign that made a political resistance fighters. What were they called? Shadow of the Raven or something like that.
Okay. Do the Shadow Kai have any effect on Barovia? Because the Shadow Kai they're basically the Raven Queen's servants. They're a race of elves. They're actually a playable race. And if you say what's that, then I guess not.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
There's a political. There's we're ravens all over the place. The main bar, the main tavern in Vallaki is run by a family of were ravens, and they're quite involved with the like spying and political machinations, but mostly those specific were ravens are very much against Strahd. They are the resistance these days.
Right.
That's all that exists.
Right. Okay, so were ravens are the resistance.
Yep.
Against Strahd. Okay. So that would occupy some of my time for sure.
Yeah.
I would definitely be spending a lot of time. I would create some kind of nonsense about how ravens are spreading disease or something, and have that as sort of some sort of propaganda posters and shit like that. And
Yep.
how I would create some kind of propaganda posters or something and have them plastered all over the towns about killing ravens, and it's good luck to kill ravens because they're, you know, they carried the disease or some disease or something, that's, and try and connect it with maybe with the soulless condition.
Oh yeah, they're sucking the
Right. I mean, it would just be
out
pure
of your loved
propaganda
ones
from it's
kind of
just
thing.
pure, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And create a rumor that it all comes from the
Um,
ravens, and you know, turn the people against the ravens. And especially if I
just
can
trying
get
to
that,
find it in Sita's backstory.
if I can get that information to the players before the players meet the were ravens, then they will have preconceptions.
The characters, but they don't have any preconceptions about them being were ravens or anything like that. I've
Right.
not really introduced the
Right.
creature race as yet. Yeah.
So if I can vilify them before they meet them, that will help my cause.
For sure. Sorry, I'm just trying to look up what the name of that.
Oh, by the way, just by the by, I have this weird thing where at 10 o'clock every night for 30 minutes between 10 and 10:27 approximately, my internet dies.
Oh,
So
okay.
if at 10 o'clock I disappear, it will only be for 27 odd minutes and I will come back.
Well, that's very, very strange.
It is. It has to do with an alarm system that used to be installed in the house, and nobody can track down where the circuit is for this alarm.
Oh, okay.
And it does something at 10 o'clock. It's really weird.
So the political organization is called Fraternity of Shadows.
Okay.
It's actually a Ravenloft wiki from a while back.
Okay.
Called Mrpedia.
Fraternity of Shadows.
Yeah, it was a campaign that was like running on quite a big scale, I think. And Raj had read up quite a bit of that, and he took like some of the some information from there, and then I said, right, stop, don't do any more. So his mother. No, I won't. I don't think I'll tell you that story.
Okay.
I'll give you his background information though, because Strahd would probably know some of the characters involved there.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could also give it to me in the form of a report.
True. Yep.
That's one way of approaching it, but it's up to you.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at the same time, you know, don't go too far out of your way, because time is also a factor.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend your entire life writing reports.
I'll definitely. Everybody's been of differing styles with their backstories. Some it's grown as they've gone. Raj, it was very much 9 pages, as he is wont to do. I'm sure you know
Right.
that.
Right. That's what I do too. My character, my paladin, was like a 10-page backstory, and then I ended up turning that into that was the kernel of my campaign, actually.
Right.
It ended up becoming the central kernel of the whole story of my campaign.
Wow, cool.
So
Yeah.
I didn't get to really play that backstory very much in the campaign that I was playing in as a player character. So I was like, okay, well, fuck you guys. If your campaign's going to fall apart, I'm going to just turn it into my own campaign.
Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of like my head's full right now, and I'm kind of like,
Overloaded.
yeah, what do I clue you in on, and what do I not? With the intrigue of
Well, maybe you should have a think
Strahd's
about it.
as well.
We could both go away and do our own research. I mean, I've obviously got a whole book here to read.
Yep.
Is there
Yeah,
anything in there that
that'll
you don't want me
give
to
you
read?
idea.
That might be another way of looking at it too.
Oh, that's a good question. I think you need to avoid any information about Van Richten, Rudolf Van Richten.
Okay, so he's his enemy, right?
Yeah, he's the guy that he's hunting down.
Right. So I'm hunting Rudolf van Richten.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You
And
know,
what?
well, you know that he's somewhere in the land.
Right.
Yeah.
How do I know this, and what do I know about him?
Um, it's gotten back to you through the Vistani grapevine
Okay.
that he arrived in the land about 15 years ago
Okay.
and has been working himself up slowly to you did actually meet him. There was a confrontation,
Okay.
but he managed to escape, and you've not heard from him since.
Okay. So, and he's been in the land that whole time, or do I suspect that he's left Barovia and returned?
Suspect that he's still here. There's
He's
been enough signs of things, and um, the Vistani that do work for you,
Yeah.
there are it's about 50-50 with the Vistani,
Okay.
have reported back that one of their own is working for him
Ah.
or trying to work for him and find him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I know? What sort of resources does he have? Do I know anything? Like what in the
Um,
confrontation? What did he try and do to me, or what was his
he
method?
he he tried every single conceivable um, like
Approach.
approach to what the classical vampire trope would be. So
Right.
he got out the holy water, he got out the every
Fire and
holy symbol he could
silver
find, fire, had a sword to cut your head off,
stakes,
staking, the lot.
sunlight,
Yeah, yeah.
and yet he
He had
failed.
a coffin. He had a coffin full of soil on standby,
Right.
but he failed.
Right.
Um, Mordenkainen as well has failed to kill you
Really?
recently.
Wow.
Yeah. He
Wow.
came into the land and had you at the top of the tower, the tallest tower of Ravenloft, about to fall into Seir Pool, which has a massive waterfall.
Okay.
But you bested him at the last minute and sent him mad. And
Excellent.
he's not been heard from by anyone since.
Right. So what was the last thing he did? Like, what was the last thing I saw him do?
You saw Mordenkainen falling from the tower,
Okay.
just backwards into the mist.
Okay. Into the mist. So he could be anywhere.
Mm. He could be anywhere in the realm.
Right. Literally.
Mm.
Right. Does the mist always send people back to Barovia, or does it sometimes take them back to other places?
Um, as far as you know, it will only it's a one-way street. So the
You-
Vistani work to some of the Vistani work to bring people in for you to toy with.
Right. And they're the only
But
people that can travel both ways, aren't they? Or some of
they're
them,
the only
perhaps.
people that can readily travel both ways. Yep.
Right.
And it's only at your permission as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um,
Can I control where they go?
they only go to Faerun.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Hmm. I see. Very interesting.
Um, that's interesting. Yep, that's good. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, there's no other place that the mists will land someone if they try to escape. It
Right.
will just turn them around and drop them right back, like
Where they
a couple
left.
of feet, about 5 feet from where they went in. Yeah,
Right. Right. Yep. Understood. And that even counts for me, I assume.
there's no way out of
Barovia for
Barovia for
Strahd.
Strahd at
Yeah.
all. It's death or nothing. Yep.
Right.
And even then, he comes back. He resurrects after. I'm going to say it's usually between like 2 and 5 years.
Right. But there is the possibility that if he can find someone who is worthy to replace him on the throne of Barovia, he can
Hmm.
end the cycle of reincarnation, right? But somebody else has
Yes,
to take that fate.
somebody else has to take that fate completely upon their soul.
Right. And I mean,
Yeah.
that raises another question, actually, which is quite kind of very, very meta, would be
Hmm.
if this is a demi-plane, which somebody, I'm assuming the Raven Queen probably created in order to trap Strahd here as punishment, because that's what Barovia is.
Uh,
It's
I
his
think that's
punishment.
right. I think that's right. It's
It's either
either him, it's either her or Vampire.
right. That makes sense. So,
Yeah.
in any case, it's his prison. So, if he was finally to get someone to accept his fate, that person probably wouldn't know that. Um, I'm not sure, but what I'm getting at is maybe they would unknowingly take that fate on, or they would accept the fate, but then not realize that it only actually applied to Strahd and it will never apply to them because they're not actually guilty of any crimes. Why would you punish someone other than Strahd? Unless that was just a
Mm.
loophole in some sort of magical loophole that was an unintended side effect, is also possible, I suppose.
Um. Yeah. What happens if Strahd can escape? That's a good question.
I mean, what if
I
Strahd can escape with Irina? His I mean, that's the win-win for Strahd if he could get out of here with Irina and Tatiana's soul. That would be his ultimate
It would
perfect
be his
win,
ultimate. Yeah.
right?
Um.
And
But he would be leaving behind Sergei, which is his brother,
right,
who
okay.
ultimately
So
did turn against him. But Sergei is still part of.
didn't he kill Sergei?
Yeah, he did. Um, but there's Sergei
Sergei's
is
reincarnated.
well, he's not. Now, am I talking to Stratum? Am I talking to DM? Another fellow DM. Um,
Well, up to you. If you want to speak to Strahd, I'm here.
um, Sergei's presence is still in the realm.
Okay.
Mm.
So, okay. Hmm. What would be more meaningful to Strahd? His brother's presence as an abstract kind of a concept, or freedom?
Freedom.
Right.
The freedom from the chains of this boredom,
Right.
probably.
Right.
Yeah,
And what would be more meaningful to him than would be freedom or Tatiana's soul?
Tatiana's soul.
So if he had to choose between her soul and escape, he would choose her
Mm.
soul.
He's an absolute hopeless romantic in that
Okay.
respect.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
there'll be nothing that gets between him and Tatiana's soul except at this point it's Irina's consent.
What if he construes that he could escape, redeem himself, and then return, and then obtain Tatiana's soul?
So leave the realm.
Right. What if he thinks he could escape in order to obtain her soul? Because maybe he thinks Barovia is what's corrupted him, and that's why she hates him. And he could be right. That could be true too. It's actually possible.
Yeah, it could be.
Am I making life too difficult? You asked for this.
I did ask for this.
You brought this
This is
upon
good.
yourself.
This is no, but this is making me think about my life choices.
Right, right.
Um, uh, I'd have to go back over everything and like really think about that. Yeah,
Right.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can leave
Okay.
at all.
Okay. Even if he replaced himself with someone, with a player, for example. Like if I could convince one of the players to take my place and suffer whatever it is that they're going to have to suffer in order to redeem me because I love
How, how
Tatiana.
would how would they take your place as the complete soul of Strahd von Zarovich, though?
I would have to let them kill me, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate. That's why this is called Curse of Strahd, right?
Right.
Because he's cursed to perpetually die and be reborn
Right.
for love.
Oh, I just want to do something that's not going to be. I want to surprise them. I
Yep.
want to. I
Yep.
want to find a way of making it. I want to. I'm searching for a dynamic that I can explore that nobody
Okay.
else has explored. You know.
Yep. Well,
So
Strahd is the land. So I'm going to say that
that makes sense. Book.
read the entire book.
Right.
And if you can read the Dragna Carta
All right. Can you send me a link to
campaign
that
stuff, yeah,
if you haven't already?
it's on that that Reddit chain,
Oh, okay.
that Reddit subthread, and there's quite a bit. There's several different documents.
How many sessions have you played?
Oh boy, when did we start? We were playing weekly during lockdown. Let me have a look at my. When did we start into lockdown? Was it April? I think it was. No, March we started, and we were playing like a session a week.
So 6 months you've been playing.
That was up until the end of level 4,
Right.
and
Do
then
they?
it dropped back down to bi-weekly.
Okay.
So we're still in the really early stages. I mean, Valaki's supposed to be the central hub to the
Right.
wheel of the campaign. So
Right.
where they should keep coming back to.
Right.
But that's not necessarily always going to be the case. They might end up back in Barovia or in Krezak, or who knows.
Right. Hmm.
You need to make a decision about your relationship with Babala Saga as well.
Oh, okay. This
Yeah,
is this the
the witch in
witch.
the witch in the bog to the
Okay.
south, who claims that she's Strahd's mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. What if this sounds like a pretty interesting angle actually to explore, and we could use the players for that. What if, I
Yep.
mean, have you ever been in a situation where, your parents want something from you, but you just don't want to face them, you don't want to speak to them, you don't want to have anything to do with them? We're
Yep.
just, their very fucking existence pisses you off.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So Strahd doesn't even want to.
I've moved past those teenage years, yeah, but I
Right.
know it.
Right.
Yep.
You know that,
Yep.
that exact. Right. And if Strahd's is hopelessly romantic and this, frankly, insufferably immature, if you ask me, at this point, but we can think about that. He might send the players to do his bidding because he just doesn't want to deal with a character that might be his mother. He wants them to investigate her. He wants them to find out about her because, I mean, and also if she's dangerous, they might, it might be a good test for both of them. He can find out more about both groups
By
through.
playing them off against each other, yeah.
Right, right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
even if they just investigate each other, but if they play each other, if they fight, well, that's even better because then, there's some catharsis there too.
Mm.
Yeah. But I mean, I think Strahd is going to want to investigate any character that may or may not be his mother. Certainly, if they claim to be, he's not going to try and kill them outright, but he's definitely going to want to know more about them.
Yep.
And maybe after the players have confronted her, then maybe he would come in and you know, he could even come in as the Deus Ex Machina at the end of that, or Machina at the end of that that fight, if that was a fight, and save the players from her. Just a thought.
As in, I don't, mummy, mummy, no, I don't really want you to die.
Right, right, and it could go
Kind of thing.
Yeah, either that or one way or the other. He's either saving the
Yeah.
players from her or he's saving her from the players. It could be either way.
Or he's realized that she's actually not his mother, and this was a mistake sending you all here.
Right, right. I think what he wouldn't want is the players to think that she was his mother, because then they would be inclined to use that information against him somehow.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Certainly, that's how I would go with it. If I was the players, I would be trying to use that to my advantage. Do you think, out of all of the players, do you think any of the players would want to be a vampire too? That's another thing I'm interested to know.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the offer gets tabled, whether any of them would. I know that Hulazar, the tiefling, would definitely be against the idea, because he's very by the book kind of city guard, city watch kind of dude.
Right.
And he's fighting against his infernal lineage.
Right.
Isn't terribly proud of it, even though it's patently obvious to everybody that that's
but I can work with that though. I mean, there's a lot to exploit there as well. We just have to get to know each other.
Yep.
Okay, that's fascinating.
We could be at a really good point, right where things are paused at the moment.
Yeah.
For a one-on-one with Strahd kind
Okay.
of situation, because now that the Hello is taking effect, Strahd is basically going to pull those of his servants that are in the church out as fast as he can. Ludmilla, one of your brides, is covered in massive burns at this point. Yeah, just from the beginnings of the Hallow spell.
Do I need blood to heal, or can I just heal, or how do I heal? And can I heal others with my blood?
You have the Heart of Sorrow, which is the massive heart that's in the turret of the
right
of the castle, which absorbs 50 hit points.
Right.
So this 50, it looks like you're not even being hit.
Right.
Healing wise, you've got your regeneration as well.
Regeneration. Strahd gains 20 hit points at the start of his turn. One hit point and isn't in running water or sunlight. If he takes radiant damage from holy water, that trait doesn't function at the start of his next turn. But it doesn't say that that's ongoing, only his next turn.
Only his next turn, yeah.
Yeah. So he loses one healing regeneration from his next turn. But Jesus, 20 hit points every round, every turn.
Yeah.
Fuck.
All the other vampire spawn and stuff, it's only 10.
Really?
So it's not quite so bad. But last session was a bit of a slog to get through the one vampire spawn that was standing outside the church.
Right.
Yeah.
Can he, without changing form or anything, can he fly? Does he have any abilities like that? It doesn't look like it. It's a spider climb.
The shapeshifter ability, he can
turn it into a bat.
Turn into a bat, a wolf. I'm just getting back to it. Mist. Yeah, Mist is really useful for him.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Weightless, flying speed of 20, hover, hostile creatures space. If air can't pass through water. Okay. Advantage on strength, dex, and constitution.
just trying to find him again.
How long does it take him to transform? Polymorph medium.
I think it's an action.
It would make sense to be in action, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
But it would be better if it was a bonus
and
action.
then Misty escape on zero hit points as well.
Right.
He
Okay.
just
Misty escape was.
Oh no, it's outside his. Oh no, outside his coffin. Yeah, he transforms into a cloud of mist. It's about a sentence after the shape changer stuff.
Right. Right. Well, I've got some reading to do. This is 200 and fucking something pages.
Yeah, yeah.
God.
You don't need to absorb all of it. I mean,
right.
Let's get you understanding Strahd's motivations and needs, and
right. Those are the primary things, and then resources as well.
I think what we can possibly, if you're free on Saturday night, of course.
Yep.
What we can possibly start the session with is like the players standing at the door of the church and Strahd getting off his horse and coming to the door as face to face with them as
possible.
As possible, and that's like sticking his foot basically in the over the jamb of the door, and maybe his boot hissing.
Right.
Like,
so he can't enter this church because it's hallowed.
No, he'll have to be invited.
Right.
But he knows this.
Will they invite him? Do you think?
The entrance to the church this particular church as well is so worn down that he can at least put his foot through the hallow. It'd hurt, but it's something that you could show off with.
Right. Can I charm them at that distance?
What's the range on charm?
Oh, that's a very good question. Holy shit. Okay, so he's also, I haven't looked at his spells yet. Charm, 30 feet.
Yep.
Right. DC 17.
Yep.
These guys are fucked, mate. They're fucked.
I'm
going to fuck them up.
I don't know if a lot of some of the newer players quite get how charm works. Within role playing, and I've had a little bit of trouble explaining, like convincing them to role play it. What is there anything you would suggest there?
As far as charm's concerned?
Yeah.
Well, I would say basically that you know, okay, so you've been charmed. What you're going to need to do is role play in such a way that you are your new objective now is to please. You now have to play this in order to please Strahd. He is now you are charmed by him. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's are they generally role playing, or are they metagaming, or how are they?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a little bit of metagaming. It's just like this isn't what this character would do, kind of resistance to it.
Right. Well, I mean, they are charmed, so it is what they would do.
Yeah.
I'd just put my foot down. Really, that's all you can do. I mean, unless they really squirm about it, in which case, if it stops being fun for them, then then I guess we just back off a little bit.
Mm.
I don't want it to be not fun, but
Yep.
if you're going to let me play Strahd and I'm going to play him unadulterated, then I'm going to charm the shit
Yeah,
out of them. That's
absolutely. Yeah, he's got to be charming, therefore charm's got to work.
right. Right. I mean, they get to make saving throws. And the thing too is that the players also, I mean, you can talk about this too if it's of any help at all. You can sort of say to them, look, um, failing creates drama, and drama is conflict. Or should I say, failing creates conflict, and conflict is drama, and drama is what we're here for. We're telling a story. Um, this is not a game where you're trying to win. There's no winning in a role-playing game. You're here to tell a story.
Are you still there?